Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Shannon Rutherford, the town planner for Farmington, with you this afternoon for the Farmington Historic District Commission meeting. I will do roll call of the commission members. Jay Bombara. And I'm not seeing Jay on. If anyone sees him get on, feel free to let me know. Jim Calciano.
Here.
Sally Hatzenbuehler. Sally's got video and no audio at the moment. Okay, limited for Sally at the moment. Evan Honeyman.
Here.
Michelle Phelan.
Here.
John Renahan.
Here.
Liz Gemsky.
Here.
And Ted Sanford.
Here.
Okay. So Mr. Chair, it looks like we're down Mr. Bombara, and at the moment Sally does not have audio to participate. So
Okay, so since Mr. Sanford is the first application, I'll appoint both Mr. Renahan and Ms. Gemsky as regular members for the time being. And if Ms. Hatzenbuehler gets audio back, we'll keep Mr. Renahan appointed for the remainder of the meeting, unless Jay, Mr. Bombara obviously comes back.
certainly.
Okay. All right. Well, good evening, everybody. I'll now call to order the virtual meeting of the Town of Farmington Historic District Commission for Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 5 o'clock or 5:04 p.m. We have a bit of a busy evening ahead of us. Mr. Secretary, could you please read the entire public notice into the record?
Yes, notice is hereby given that the Farmington Historical District Commission will hold an online public hearing on Tuesday, June 21st, 2022 at 5 p.m. on the following applications. Number one, Edmund and Elizabeth Sanford, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to add new gutters and replace windows on a detached garage at 18 Mountain Street. Next one is Colleen and Mark Gilroy, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to install split rail fence at 141 Main Street. The next is David Zip, application for a temporary certificate of appropriateness to install central AC condenser at 24 Mountain Road. Next is Miss Porter's School, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to add a handrail on top step and replace brownstone steps in kind at 63 Main Street. And the last one is Scott Kluger, application for temporary certificate of appropriateness to replace door and add screen door at 767 Farmington Avenue.
All right. Thank you very much. Sally, can you hear us?
I can now hear you. I apologize for that. I can't, no, I don't know if I can see you guys. I can see you. I don't know if you can see me, but.
Well, we can't see you, but we can definitely hear you.
Okay, thank you. Sorry about that. Yeah, I don't know what's going on.
No worries. So Mr. Renahan will remain appointed unless if Mr. Bombara joins us, which I just heard a ding. So, okay, no, I don't think. Okay. All right. So we have our first agenda item. Mr. Sanford is here on behalf of 18 Mountain Road. Mr. Sanford, could you please just state your name and the address for the record, and then share with us a little bit about the new gutters and windows.
Okay, Edmund Sanford, 18 Mountain Road. My wife and I want to make some changes to the detached garage located at the rear of our property. First, we'd like to add gutters. There's currently no gutters on it. We want to add half-round galvanized gutters. The style will match the house. The house has half-round copper gutters. So other than the fact that they're galvanized instead of copper, they will look exactly the same. Second, I'd like to replace the second floor windows, which currently are wood authentic divided light double hungs with single glass. I'd like the option or get approval to for 2 different styles because of supply chain issues. I'd like the flexibility to be able to do one or the other depending on what's available in a reasonable amount of time. The first would be a Brosco double hung. That also would be single glass, true divided light, wood frame with PVC, flat casing on the outside. That virtually is the exact same thing that's there, other than it has more advanced balances in it than the originals. The second would be a Lincoln wood aluminum clad double hung with insulated glass and simulated divided light. Those would be the same thing that was approved by the district or commission, I don't know, about 5 years ago when I did an addition on the rear of the house. Also the same thing that's been approved in a variety of places in town. So that's it. Gutters, windows.
Okay, thank you very much. Can we just scroll down just so everybody has an opportunity to see this?
Yeah, so the middle picture is how it looks now. The lower picture is the existing window. What I would replace them with would look pretty much the same.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. We'll open it up to questions and comments from commissioners. We'll start with Mr. Calciano.
Know the property well, go by it all the time, and everything that Mr. Sanford is putting in there is basically everything that we've approved before. I think it's, I don't see any problems with any of it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Ms. Hassenbuehler.
I have no questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Phelan.
I don't have any questions. Thank you.
Mr. Renahan.
No questions on my end.
Have to be invited to talk. Like they're
Ms. Gemske.
called chairs.
No questions from me either. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners?
I have one question, Ted. The half round gutters, are they more expensive? I like the fact that you're keeping them the same, but are they about the same price or are they a little more?
They're going to be a little more than the aluminum case style gutter, but I like the look and I wanted to match the house.
Yeah, no, that's a good job on that. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? Okay, hearing none. If anybody from the public is on and would like to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand. I'm sorry. Oh, no, okay. If anyone from the public is on and would like to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand and Shannon will unmute you.
I will say, if you've called in for the meeting, but you're not presenting yet, if you could mute your microphone, please. That would be helpful. And then, yes, if anyone has called in to offer comment regarding this application, raise your hand and you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. We've got a Mike Cheshire. Mike, you can unmute your microphone and address the commission.
Yeah, Mike Cheshire. I'm a resident of 22 Mountain Road. I'm the Sanford's neighbor, and I support the changes that they're proposing to make. It looks identical for the windows, and the gutters are fine.
Thank you. Anybody else?
If anyone else has called in, feel free to please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom and you'll be acknowledged to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there are no other hands raised.
Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion on this application?
I'd like to make a motion that we approve this application and issue a temporary certificate of appropriateness at, what's the street number?
18 Mountain Road.
18 Mountain Road.
Thank you
I
very
can-
much. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say aye. Hearing none. Any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Congratulations. Okay. All right, for our second agenda item, I believe Ms. Gilroy is here on behalf of 141 Main Street. And before we get into the hearing, just for full transparency, just wanted to let the commission members know that in addition to their application for a split rail fence along Hatters Lane and part of their backyard. The applicants are also looking to complete a like-for-like replacement of their wooden stockade fencing along the south side of their property. And the applicant will be able to speak with us about that as well. Just to be clear, the application is just for the split rail fence, but wanted to mention that and open it up for discussion during the hearing. So anyway, Ms. Gilroy, if you could please state your name and the address you're representing for the record, and then please just share with us a bit about what you're looking to do with these fences.
Yes. Hi, everyone. Colleen Gilroy, 141 Main Street. Please excuse my voice. I am actually recovering from COVID. So what we are looking to do, and I do apologize for the mix-up with the application. That was a misunderstanding on my part. So the original application is for the split rail fence to run along Hatters Lane and then along the backside of the property as well. That is along the little private road that goes into about 3 houses there off of Hatters. And then in addition to that, there was a stockade fence that had been approved back in 1998 when the home belonged to the Ietzes that ran all along the 141, 143 divide, all the way down the side to the very front tip of the garage on that side. And we are looking, it's an almost identical change there. Now in, forgive me, 2019, when we purchased the house and moved in, we were approved for a shadow box fence on this entire, oh my gosh, please forgive me, for this entire backyard that is running exactly along these lines that you see on this newly proposed change. So this was an approved thing. We are just actually looking to change the styles of the fence. We'd actually like to keep it a little bit more open along the Hatters side now that we've lived here a little bit more. We really like the view a little bit. We are at an elevated rise. We're about 5 or 6 feet up. So we do have that privacy already. We don't feel we need that privacy along Hatters. We are really looking to have that privacy along the 141, 143. So it will be cedar all the way around, including the split rail. It'll be these rounded ones, and then we will have, hopefully, the wire mesh on the inside for, we do have dogs and we'd like to keep them contained, and that'll be on the inside as well. So.
And then I know it's not part of this application, but Shannon, do we have the images of the stockade fence? Just
I do.
Okay.
I do. So these are the existing photos of what the existing fence had looked like on that south property line.
So that fence is not there currently. We had begun the process of putting up the shadow box fence. The shadow box is currently along only the side of the house itself, kind of as a dog run. That would then be coming out and then being exchanged with this panel that you see there.
okay. All right, thank you. We'll open it up, and I believe Mr. Bombara has, excuse me, has joined us. Can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry
Okay,
about
great.
that.
May I also, forgive me, make one more comment. As you see in those previous photos that are going by right now, in 1998, when the Ietzes put this up, they were given permission to put that fence all the way to the front of the cottage onto Hatters Lane there. In 2019, we were very much clarified that that fence cannot come all the way to that front line. We would be running it at the back of that cottage, on the inside of that brick walkway that you can see there, because it would be too close to the street. So I just want to clarify that that is not the exact line that you see there that we would be putting it. So it would be even less visible. And oh, forgive me, I'm so sorry. That fence that you're seeing there would not be the panels. That one would be the split rail.
Right, in that location, because that's
In
the
that
frontage on Hatters.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll open up to questions and comments from the commissioners. We'll start with Mr. Sanford.
So you're not really putting up split rail, it's the round rail fence is what you're putting up?
Yes, it's just called split rail by the manufacturer that we were going with.
Okay.
And I'm so sorry you can hear music on my thing. My toddler's in the other room, so sorry about that.
You're good. There's no background noises coming through. So you're
Okay,
all
thank
set.
goodness. Sorry. Yes, it would be the round rail style, but it's just it's classified as split rail.
Okay. My preference would be true split rail. I think that's more consistent with things that are in the district. We just approved split rail for Miss Porter's. The round rail, I'm not aware of any in town.
Okay.
So that's my only comment.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Gamsky?
Yeah, I was actually going to ask the same question because I haven't seen any of the round rail, at least since I've been on the district. So I just didn't know if we have done that in the past, or is this kind of a new request? I don't know if anybody knows.
I will just say the round rail is technically considered a nicer option. It is a more expensive option as well, so I won't object if you guys prefer the basic split rail. I mean, it saves me money. I assumed you would prefer a nicer split rail option, but
We'll keep going and see what other comments or questions we have. How about Ms. Hatzenbuehler?
Yeah, unfortunately, because I cannot see the two difference, it's hard for me to really comment on that. So I'm going to defer to the other commissioners here with in terms of their knowledge about the round rail versus the split.
Okay.
So sorry.
Mr. Bombara?
I have seen round rail fence somewhere and I can't now come up with it off the top of my head. I don't know. I don't recall us particularly approving it or not. I don't know whether it was a house that's not in the district or perhaps didn't get approval, didn't need it. I'm not sure why they wouldn't. Yeah, well, first of all, the fence, the fence is fine. I mean, if you really want round rail, I guess I would be indifferent. But that's all. I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Renahan?
No questions on my end. And just to clarify, there's no there's no new fence in the front. This is all.
it's all in the backyard along Hatters.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Phelan?
Yeah, I thought I saw the round rail too, Jay. I thought I want to say it's on Colton, but
I think you're right.
yeah, I'm not 100% sure on that. But Colleen, and the rail on Hatters, there's a stone wall, right? And
Yes.
right, and then it's kind of shaded and wooded, and if I'm looking at the picture, the rail would also be somewhat obscured, maybe not so much in the winter. Is that right?
So
I'm
if
just
you look
curious.
at these photos, I actually did 3 photos walking from the house toward the back of the property.
Yeah,
You really wouldn't see it too much.
that's what I was thinking.
Yeah, it raises as you go. It would be
Yeah.
a 4-foot fence. So you would, especially by the back of the property with it set back about 6 feet, actually about 10 feet, because the cottage is about 10 feet deep. It would be more obscured as you went.
Yeah, because there's some brush and stuff there too.
Yeah.
That was just another curiosity question on my part, just to kind of create a vision in my mind for just how much would be seen.
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mr. Calciano?
It's interesting. The more I think about the split versus the round, I kind of favor the split. I think it's more, age appropriate. They didn't have round rails in those days, and if they were round, they were hacked up logs that were, crisscrossed. So, and I think if we can save the homeowner money, then I'd prefer to see the split rail.
Okay, thank you very much. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? All right, hearing none. If anybody's on from the public and would like to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand and Shannon will unmute you.
Again, if anyone's called in that would like to offer comment on this application for 141 Main Street, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Okay, hearing none. Is there a motion on this application?
I'll make a motion that we grant a certificate of appropriateness in accordance with the application, but for what I'll call, to be clear, a true split rail fence. In other words, not the round rail fence. In light of the fact that I've heard the applicant say that she would not object, and I think I'm hearing a consensus preference. So I'll make the motion that we grant it with the true split rail.
Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you very much. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay, hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
I have one suggestion, if I may, that that you purchase a few extra split rails and put them in the garage somewhere.
Okay.
They can be hard to find when a tree falls on them.
Oh, God, thank you for that. Actually, I appreciate that.
Okay, all opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Have a good
Thank
night.
you.
Thank you.
All right.
I hope you feel better.
Thank you. Thanks.
Okay, on to our third agenda item. I believe Mr. Zip is here on behalf of 24 Mountain Road. If you could please state your name and your address for the record, and then please share with us a little bit about the central AC units that you're looking to install.
Sure. I'm David Zip. I live at 24 Mountain Road. I'm requesting approval today to install 2 air conditioning condenser units outside my house. Where do I plan to put them? Well, if you pull up that site plan, yep, right there. I plan to put them on the northwest side of the house, which is considered the downhill side closest to 22 Mountain Road. Mark the spot right there on the left in blue. So why this location? Well, there's not a better location. I'm limited on the 3 other sides of my house. One side is the street side facing Mountain Road, which is not suitable for obvious reasons. Another side is the driveway side, which is the opposite side to where I want to install the condenser boxes, and which faces uphill toward the driveway and garage. That side is not suitable because it's actually the historical front of the house. It's where the front door is, the foyer, the grand staircase, ornamental window, and so forth. And so I want to avoid the 2 sides that are of historical significance and are the most visible from the street. And then finally, on the rear side of the house, which is the southwest side of the house, that's not suitable because there's a bluestone patio and decorative shrubs and old hardwood trees and gardens and so forth. A lot of stuff that would be negatively affected, and I would have to start ripping that up to make space. So that's why I'm looking to put them on that northwest side right there.
Is the tree being removed to accommodate them?
So there is enough room in between that tree and that bulkhead door. So I'm looking to put them right in there.
Okay, thank you very much. We'll open it up to questions and comments from commissioners. We'll start with Mr. Bombara.
I see from the photos clearly, especially when there's vegetation, that they're not noticeable. I do worry a little bit, and I think we've had similar properties actually on Mountain Road with this same issue, which is, you're walking up Mountain Road. If you didn't have the vegetation there, you'd probably see them. Although how far back from the front part of the house, how many feet back is it from the edge of the house. Yeah, right.
I'm just estimating, but maybe like 15.
Yeah, that's
That
better.
picture makes it look a little bit smaller, but
And how tall are the units?
let's see. I included that in the application. I think they're about,
And I guess I would
about 3 feet.
compare that to the reveal or the height of the revealed basement, the the stone that you've got there. Is that 2.5 feet, 2 feet? Or?
Yeah. So it's going to be a little bit lower there. So
Okay.
I think that's about 3 feet in there.
I guess that's my only concern. It does seem to be fairly well set back, though, I guess, from even the front of the house. So, I would think about it. The only other thing might be to say if the natural vegetation no longer screened it, that you would come back and get an appropriate fencing or something which would provide adequate screening so that they weren't noticeable from Mountain Road.
Sure.
But I'm interested in what others think about that. I'd certainly defer to others. Thanks, Evan.
Mr. Calciano?
Yes, I think placing them towards the middle of the house, away from the road, because you do have a nice buffer. And I'm not sure how this relates, whether this is part of our purview, but those condensers will be within what, like what, 15 feet from the patio below you, which is the Cheshire's property. My only concern there is the noise and because they do make when they're running, it's a little annoying. Although they do have nice pads they put them on, which cushion. And one thing that when the Stanley Whitman house added the barn, and we were putting, I think, 3 or 4 large AC units in between the back of the barn and the large brick mansion on High Street, that they came to us and said, look, we don't mind it, but we need to do something to cushion the ambient noise. And what they had us do was put a fence, some kind of screening that was just about the height of the condensers. And then there's some kind of a insulated blanket material that is noise absorbent and never had a complaint. And if you want to see it, you can go behind the barn and because I'm sure that's a concern and that may be able to ameliorate any issues with noise. Other than that, I think it's well located, and you're doing the best you can. And I agree with it's tough when you're stuck with just one spot, and you truly are. I know that property pretty well, and you this is your best spot. That's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Sanford?
I pretty much share Jim's comments. Those houses are really close together there, which makes it difficult to locate anything where it's not going to be obtrusive to neighbors. I like the idea of the enclosure with the sound absorbing blankets or insulation. Other than that, it's probably as good a location as you can get.
Thank you. Ms. Gemske?
No, it does seem like there's a lot of vegetation in that area. I'm not sure what it looks like in the wintertime, but it seems to be well shaded.
Thank you. Ms. Phelan?
I share Ms. Gemske's observation with the vegetation, and I try to zoom in on what that vegetation is, if it's year-round green or not. But that aside, I agree with everybody else. It's really the best place you could select, and it is 15 feet in from the edge of the house, give or take a few feet. So I think that's fine. And I'd just be curious about what that vegetation is to understand that a little bit better.
Yeah, I can add some comments. So let me see. I believe it's mostly all evergreen. So
That's what I thought.
there's a large tree, which is a holly tree, and I believe that's evergreen.
Yes.
And there's a bunch of rhododendron trees or shrubs as well in there.
So they're all so that's all leafy green all year round.
Yeah.
And they're almost their
Um,
own natural sound buffer as well.
Yeah.
That's all I have.
Thank you. Ms. Hatzenbuehler?
Yeah, I would just also say that it appears that you've been very thoughtful about where to place these units. I now have a visual so I can see the house, and it sounds like you are doing the best you can, so.
Thank you. Mr. Renahan?
No questions on my end.
Okay. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none. Anybody, if anyone from the public is on, would like to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand and Shannon will unmute you.
We do have one hand raised. Mr. Cheshire, again, I believe your microphone's unmuted. You can go ahead and address the commission.
Is my microphone unmuted?
Yes, yes, sir. Yep.
Okay. Well, as Mr. Calciano indicated, we are the property, adjacent property owner, and our patio is about 15 or 20 feet directly, adjacent to the condensing units. And David and I have been spending time on making sure that these units are not a noise issue because the specs on them can be as high as 70 decibels, which if you do a chart, that's as high as a blender in a kitchen. So we're working on ways to make sure that's not an issue. In fact, just to give the commission an idea, I know you don't deal with noise per se, so this is an issue that David and I can work through. I have no objection, by the way, to the location. I think it is the appropriate location relative to all the other spots that David did mention. And I think we can work through. I was not aware of what Jim Calciano just mentioned. I was not aware that the Stanley Whitman Museum had a setup where they had sound barrier protection from the units, protecting them from the mansion behind, the Lundgren house behind. And I do want to walk up and take a look and see what that looks like. But that probably is an issue that David and I have to work through at some point to make sure our patio is still functional. Just as a kind of an inside joke, we have to turn off our window unit that's in our kitchen when we're out on the patio. It's just too noisy. So we know what we know what sound problems are in that area. So I support the location, and it's just an issue of how we can work out the noise situation. And David's been very cooperative in trying to work through those issues.
Thank you. Anyone, if anyone else from the public is on, please raise your hand. Shannon will unmute you. You can be heard.
Again, if anyone would like to speak regarding this application, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there's no other hands raised.
Thank you. And Mr. Cheshire, thank you for your comments, and thank you to the commissioners for your comments as well. I appreciate that you are working with Mr. Zip, the homeowner, on a potential plan to mitigate some of the noise. For full transparency, I wouldn't feel comfortable raising a motion or voting in favor of a motion to approve some sort of sound barrier at this time. I think our responsibility is mainly for the aesthetics of it, whether it's appropriate and whether it's hidden. But so hopefully we'll get a motion on that, and I hope that Mr. Cheshire and Mr. Zip can work together to mitigate any noise issues there. So with that, is there a motion on this application?
Yeah, then I'll-
Any discussion?
I'm sorry?
Any discussion? Or you want to discuss it after the
yeah,
motion?
We need a
Yeah,
vote.
we'll discuss after a motion's been made.
So I'll make a motion, Evan, that we grant the temporary certificate of appropriateness for the condensers as shown in the application with the condition that the sight line to the units be screened either through natural vegetation or some other means. And I do agree, I guess it's part of my motion, but I do agree with what Evan just said. I don't think that we have the jurisdiction or purview to deal with the sound. I am very happy to hear that, as is typical for our area, that the neighbors are working it out, and I hope that it does work out properly for everybody. But I would not make that part of my motion. I'm just going to make a motion that they have screened the units so they're not visible from the mountain road.
Thank you very much. We have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second it.
All right. Any further discussion on the motion? Mr. Calciano?
I know we've not done this before in the 15 plus years I've been on here. However, it brings something to mind that we certainly have a lot to say on lighting. And I'm wondering what's the difference between noise pollution and light pollution. So I bring that up as is somewhere, does it say we have no purview over that? In this case, I'm sure we're not going to have a problem because they're already talking and working it out. But Jay, we have a lawyer on board. What's your opinion? What is the difference between light pollution?
No, I think Evan hit it properly. If you look at the statutes and our regulations, they do talk about aesthetics and view, and so it's really sight versus sound. It doesn't really say that, you know, for determining appropriateness, you are looking at the visual aspects, the architectural aspects. You're not looking at sound. Light, you know, that's interesting. I would say you could argue both ways, and as one, as you know, I mean, and who knows who's right. You could say, though, that light is actually a visual thing and it is distracting, and you could argue maybe that we have purview over it. I would say, well, I don't know. My preference would be not to. I think we should really be sticking to architectural and design type issues. But at any rate, I'm fairly comfortable that we certainly don't have real jurisdiction here over the sound.
Thank you. I think it's worth the exploring that.
Absolutely agree. No, it's good critical thinking. Thanks.
Absolutely. Thanks, guys. And I also think that TPC has rules about, you know, specifically about light, and you know, Shannon, and I think Shannon is our light expert in town.
Yeah, so I think too, with lighting, it comes to the fixture as well, right? So the fixture has to be appropriate for the area. So there's the light level itself with the fixture. With respect to sound, that's addressed through our town ordinance and is enforced with the police department if it needs to be. But it doesn't sound like any of that is going to be an issue in this situation, thankfully.
Thank you. Okay, any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much. And I appreciate everybody's insight and questions.
If I can ask a question while the applicant is
Sure.
still on. If there is a consensus between the applicant and the neighbor that some type of noise attenuation is the best approach, I'm assuming the commission is going to want to see what said noise attenuation will look like.
I would think yes.
I'm saying head nods and.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, if they're going to put up a piece of fencing or whatever you call it. Definitely.
Okay. I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
Thank you.
Fine. Thank you.
Appreciate it. And thanks everybody for your thoughts on this one. Okay. For our fourth agenda item, we briefly discussed this at our last regular meeting, but Ms. Murray is here on behalf of Ms. Porter's School for 63 Main Street. And if you could please state your name and the address you're representing for the record, and then please share with us a bit about what you're looking to do.
Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jackie Murray, representing Miss Porter's school. This application is for 63 Main Street, our Humphrey dorm. We did discuss this briefly last week, but we are looking to bring the iron railing up to code. Since we are replacing the brownstone steps with like brownstone steps, we do have to bring the railing up to code. So we did provide a sketch. We are planning on keeping most of the original railing. The only new rail will be that top portion. Currently, the railing goes up to the door on the outside of the columns, and we are proposing adding new iron railing that will go on the inside of the column, and this will bring it up to today's code.
Thank you very much. We will open this up to questions and comments from the commissioners. We'll start first with Ms. Phelan.
Yeah, I don't have any questions. I was wondering what direction the railing would go from the last meeting. And yeah, and I like the proposal. Somebody could use the railing all the way up the steps with the way it graces around the column. So no other questions or comments on my part.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Gemske.
Just based on the drawing and the picture, it looks, from the drawing, it looks like the railing is going to the end of the step, but on the picture, the step, there's a portion.
The picture is the old,
So
it's the one from, so this railing, I just showed this so that folks, in case you wanted to see, so this portion, the existing railing staying, and then it's just skirting around the outside of the column to tie in on the
That's
inside
correct.
edge.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
So
so
there'll
this red line isn't here, and this red line, it's just up here where it connects in at the building at the front face of the door.
Got it.
I
Okay.
just tossed
Thank
that up so folks had it for reference.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. No, it looks good to me. Thank you.
Mr. Calciano.
Yes, I'm glad they came before us for preliminary, because it does look, I like the way it looks. It's a much better idea, and I see they've already demoed the steps, and you saved that bottom one, which is very important. How are the other steps? Were you able to use them, or you have to put new brownstone?
We are going to have to put new brownstone, unfortunately.
Okay. All right. Well, you did the best you can, and I think it's going to look great. I like that design. It's in keeping with what was there, and again, commend your organization from being a great historic district citizen.
Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Hadson-Bueller.
I also agree. I like the way it looks, what you have done, and the new brownstone will certainly look even nicer with all that. So I don't have any other questions or comments.
Thank you. Mr. Sanford.
A great solution to our concerns that we expressed at the last meeting. So looks good.
Thank you. Okay, Mr. Bombara.
If I may take the time, just a quick second, because I took a walk around the neighborhood yesterday. I admit I haven't been walking a lot. I see a lot of bushes down. Am I allowed to ask the applicant what you guys are doing? I see the bushes down on Main Street and up Mountain Road. What are you guys doing?
Sure. The bushes are, I believe that this was presented to the committee several months ago, but the bushes are being removed and an iron fence is going to go where the bushes used to be.
Even on Mountain Road?
Not there.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. That's all right. I shouldn't have even done that, but no, I'm fine with what you guys have done as usual. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Mr. Renhan.
No questions. Looks good.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Any other questions or comments from commissioners? Hearing none, of anybody from the public is on, would like to be heard, please raise your Zoom hand and Shannon will unmute you.
Okay, again, one more time, if anyone's called in to talk about and make comments regarding the Ms. Porter's application, please raise your hand using the feature in Zoom. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised.
Thank you very much. Hearing none, is there a motion on this application?
I make a motion, I'm gonna try it. I make a motion to issue a temporary certificate of appropriateness to update the railing so that it graces around and inside the two columns outside the door entrance, which then brings the railing up to code along with the replacement of the brownstone,
Thank you very much. And just to be clear, okay, I thought that we already had approved the brownstone steps. Right?
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this application is specifically just for the
For the
handrail.
rail.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
A second.
Okay. We have a second. Any further discussion on the motion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, any abstentions? Hearing none, the motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, on to our final public hearing of the evening. We have Mr. Kluger here on behalf of Hartford Baking Company for 767 Farmington Ave. Could you please state your name and the address you're representing for the record, and then please share with us the plan for the new door.
Hey, everybody. Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we
Okay.
can hear you. Thank you.
All right, good. Scott Kluger, President, Hartford Baking Company. We have the spot at 767 Farmington Avenue. So we after I forget when it was, February or March, we reviewed the door that we put in that you guys had some concerns. I looked at photos of Truffles, the existing space, to try and figure out, what we could do. And I noticed they had a screen door on top. This is the image that you see right here. So what we propose is to take a screen door made out of wood. It's currently on the back door of the building. It's not 100% necessary, and put it on the front. This would make it look like the building did before. And I think actually the business right across the street, I forget if it's an architecture office or something, but they also have a similar wooden screen door on their exterior directly across the street. That's the door right there.
Okay. Did we just lose somebody just before we?
I'm not sure who we got. We got Ted, Sally, Michelle, John, Jay. I think we've got all the commission members.
Okay.
It may have just been one of the applicants.
Okay, thank you. All right, so we'll open it up to questions and comments from commissioners, and we'll start with Mr. Calciano.
Well, that's a big divergence. Part of that door was that it had divided lights. It was a wood door. And can I see the old door again, Shannon, please?
Certainly.
Yeah. The crossbuck on the bottom. It was an amazing door. And I'm not happy with that proposal. That's it.
Okay. Mr. Sanford?
I agree with Jim. I don't think it resolves the issue of the steel door that's on the building.
Okay, thank you very much. Mr. Renahan?
Yeah, just for clarity, you're gonna take the screen door off the back door, or is this a brand new screen door that you plan to put on the front door?
This is an existing screen door currently on the back, but it happens to be the exact same size as the front, which is it's an odd size. It's tough to find. So this is a solution that we can do quickly.
And would the screen door stay on in the winter too? Or would you replace, like, how would the winter work?
Well, the screen door is going to be on top of the front door. So there's basically going to be like there was before when Truffles had it, a screen door, and then the main exterior door.
So that's a good clarification. There was a screen door on the front before, but that was taken off?
It was originally taken off, that everything fell apart once we started doing interior work. The door frame disintegrated, so we had to get rid of it.
Okay. No other
But
questions?
you can see it there on the front of Truffles right there.
Got
The
it.
screen door.
But you're not proposing to change the current door that you installed at all?
No, that's not what we applied for this time around.
So I guess just, so there's no, you're still not addressing the fact that the door still doesn't meet historical standards?
Well, this, if there seems to be an issue with the aesthetic of the door that we put in, this solves that issue by covering it.
All right, no other questions on my end.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Hadson-Bueller. Oh, maybe, did we lose, is Sally here? Sally, can you hear us? Okay, well, we'll skip her for now. Miss Phelan.
I think I'm echoing what some of the other commissioners said. My perception is that there's really, and I think Scott, you kind of alluded to it, the screen door is one presentation for discussion, and then the outstanding item of the steel door is a second item that that ought to require some discussion. And you're right, there was a screen door on the former Truffles, and the one that you're replacing is fairly similar, and it does, as the former screen door did, where the steel door is open, then allow for the light. But the to my way of thinking, it's two items, and the steel door and the aesthetic presentation for the steel door still remains an open item.
All right, so let me ask, and I brought this to Shannon's attention. Do you have the photo of the steel door on the exterior of People's Bank on Main Street that's also visible from the road?
Well, it's visible here, so
that's not what I submitted, but
that's what you submitted, and it's screened. So this is the view from Main Street, and it's blocked by the walk-up ATM. That's the steel door on People's Bank. The security door towards the back portion of the building that's not visible from Main Street.
well, it is visible from Main Street. If you go a little further down Main Street, you can see it more than the photo you've presented.
It is not the same as the front door. People's Bank does not have this as their front door fronting out on Main Street, Farmington. If you want to,
I'm sorry.
no, I've got nothing further.
Mr. Rambara.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. There's a lot to unpack here. But first of all, unless I'm mistaken, this is funny. I just mentioned my walk, so I coincidentally, I happened to take a look at the door. The door that's on there that you put on there now, and that is a different door, is it not? It actually has windows on it and divided light. There you go. So it's right. That's a different door than the first, right? It's not true divided light. I don't know what it is.
That's the door we've had since we opened in December.
Oh, it is. That's
Yeah.
the door we saw last time.
It's been painted.
That's the difference.
It is. Okay. All right.
It's been painted.
Yeah. I assume to match your color scheme or whatever. That's not our purview anyway.
Right.
You know, you can see through the screen door, obviously. And in fact, the photo we look at that was shown that showed the old screen door, you look through it and you can actually see the old door. So, I mean, I don't know that putting a screen door fixes the problem. I think, or not the problem, but the concern that the commissioners have about having a door that's a little more appropriate for the building as well as the district. I'm not sure. Look, I understand small business and, not wanting to spend money if you don't have to, but, you got a great building here. You've got a great location, a great community. And the values that are important to this community are the historic aspect of the thing. And the reason people want to be in this community and be in this area are because of the aesthetic values that are displayed in it and those that are supported by the people that live in it. So, I struggle. I mean, it seems like it wouldn't be, as I get, money is money, but to get a door that fits what you're hearing from this commission, which I think is representative of the values and that the community holds as far as historical, would be a good move, to try to solve that. I get that there are other doors. I get that you need security, but to put a panel on the door and make it look, the bottom part better and not as industrial, would be, I think, what people prefer here. I mean, we obviously can vote on this, but I guess my view is I'm not convinced that putting a screen door over this solves the problem. I certainly don't think either that it's quite frankly helpful to your customers. I remember that was always a pain in the neck, was people dealing with the screen door, but I mean, if you want one, that's fine too. So at any rate, I guess those are my thoughts of them.
Thank you. Ms. Gamsky?
Yes. I think that Michelle Phelan put it well, that there are kind of two outstanding issues. I know that's not what's in the application, but you have, if you're going to put a screen door on, you have the screen door, which still shows the existing door on the existing building. I think our recommendations last time around were to try to keep with the previous door, and match the time period for the building and the location. So those were the only comments that I had.
Thank you. Let's try again, Ms. Hatzenbuehler, if she's able to.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, good, great, thank you. Sorry about that. I don't know what it is. Anyway, I guess my only comment is with the screen door over there, with all due respect, it appears like it's somewhat of a Band-Aid solution for what the historic district is looking for in that building. And as Jay had said, it's a great location, and we're just trying to keep up with the protocols and that the historic district is requesting of us as a commission. So I guess I'm not in favor of just putting that on. I think you have to start over on that.
Okay.
Can I make a comment? Can I
Sure.
respond to that?
Sure.
So look, two things. Jay, cost has never been mentioned by us, nor is cost an issue here. This is a security and usability issue. Second, attaching paneling to the front of the door to make it look more historical, which is exactly what I proposed the first time we had this meeting, and that was denied. So if you guys are okay with that, that's what we originally proposed. We have no problem doing that to the orange door, but you guys would have to give us your permission to do that. And we'd have to present, exactly another drawing of what we were going to do.
Mr. Calcano?
Yeah. Could I ask a question? Because
Sure.
I wasn't able to make that first meeting. What happened to the door, I guess?
The original door?
Yeah.
The original door and the screen door disintegrated. I mean, not disintegrated, but like they fell apart. They were very old. The frame was wood and there wasn't sheetrock on the inside. There was kind of like I don't know what to call it. It looked like brick, but it was not made out of brick. It was like maybe a 5/8 inch wall covering. We took that off. There was no sheetrock underneath. It exposed I guess it was holding the door frame together, and then where the hinges were attached to the door, everything had rotted. And the door was not, we did not feel like we could use that door. It wasn't going to be secure. It was going to fall on somebody. It was a security issue and a safety issue too.
I mean, I've been through that door, hundreds of times, and I could understand where the jambs could be rotted, but the jambs are not the door. But that being aside, I think all this could have not happened if an application was presented when the door was to be changed. First of all, you've got a wood door that is probably at least 5/4 thick, at least. You got crossbuck on the bottom, and I think there's 12 panes on top. I mean, it's an unusual door, and it's one that's aesthetically appealing and has been there since that building was moved there. To cover it with a screen door, can I see that screen door that you were looking at putting on? I mean, yeah, a little further back. Yeah, I mean, I assume those are louvers on the bottom. I mean, that would be totally inappropriate. That is not even what was there if you're asking for a screen door. It was a full-length screen door that allowed you to see the door. So on multiple levels here, I think this just does not come close. We're not going to accept a metal door with panels attached to it. That doesn't happen in this district. So I think, there's got to be some work done in order to present an application that's going to be worthy of approval. My opinion.
We move on to any public comment. Yeah, would any other commissioners like to ask questions or be heard?
Yeah, I have a question. Have you considered, that's an odd sized door, and I'm sure that's a huge part of the problem you're having. Have you considered changing to a standard 3L door that would be much more available?
What, changing like to a 36x80?
Right.
We haven't, we were trying to find something that would fit exactly, but if that's a possibility, then yeah, that would make things different.
Yeah.
Because those doors are much easier to find than a 42x80.
I think the commission would probably be more agreeable to a wood door in a 36-inch width than a metal door. I mean, they can comment on that.
Yeah, I agree, Ted. And any kind of a wood door would be better than a metal door. With divided lights and something, and there are doors that are made with the crossbuck, if that's what we would like to see, because that's an issue. That doors, it's an unusual door. Mr. Kluger, how wide is that? Is it 42 inches?
It's a 42x80 inch.
Yeah, that's an odd sized door, but I bet Ted, don't they make even 40-inch, or they're a little wider?
They make them, but they're factory order right now, probably take months to get.
Okay.
And
Very comments or questions?
Very expensive.
Sorry. Other comments or questions from commissioners? So
Hey, Evan, I was just going to ask, and the other commissioners going this way, but where would Scott go to get a wood door like this? Like,
there's places, there's shops that you can go to, but they're not cheap. They're special made, and that's why that door, I'm sure that door could have been saved. There's lots of ways to do it. I'm sure, knowing what he knows now, he wouldn't have thrown that door out.
Mr. Calciano, would you know of a few places in the greater Hartford area that you could provide at another time to the applicant?
I know of one in Glastonbury. It's a shop that I've had. They make 12/12 windows. They're very well known. They're I think you know them, Ted, too, don't you? You know the one I mean? I can't think of the name right now. Because they did doors and some windows for us at the academy when we did that over. I can't think of the name, but I know I can find it.
Okay,
Yeah, I'm not sure of the name either, but pretty much any building materials supplier can get a door that size.
okay. Thank you. Any other comments or questions from commissioners? Okay,
I mean, does it need to look exactly the same? Or if it's made out of wood, can we vary the number of windows? Or because the problem is I can find a 42 by 80 inch door, but there's not a lot of options. And I can go back and I can try and find a 36 by 80 if we can adjust the opening in the building, but I might not be able to find the exact same design as was there before. Would it be okay to change it? Obviously, you're going to approve it first.
would anybody like
I
to
think I
comment?
see what you're saying. And that is that when you change the width, the kind of size of the door, other things might have to change slightly with it.
Yeah, the trim would have to be changed, and so that's something to look at. And I think a wider trim, you know, you could still make that look good as long as you have some lights on the top and some kind of paneling on the bottom. You know, I guess we'd have to see it. I think. What do you think, Ted?
I think a 9-light over 2-panel would be acceptable. I believe that there's other buildings in that complex that have that door on the front that's on that same view.
I agree.
I personally, I would be okay with that.
Yeah.
And that's much more available.
So
This is Liz. I'm sorry. I think there's somebody in the chat who's looking.
There is,
to-
I've got it.
Okay.
I've got
Okay.
it. They've
Yeah.
got to wait until the chair is ready to do public comment, and then
Okay.
I've already made comment that they've got to wait until the chair is ready for public comment, and then they will be acknowledged to address the commission.
Okay. I couldn't tell who it was.
No, they're,
Thanks.
yeah, thank you.
okay, so but to answer your question, it sounds like you know, we would probably be a little more flexible on and not looking exactly the same as the original door. I think everybody on the commission would probably prefer a wooden door similar to the original door versus what's currently up. And again, as Mr. Bombara said, we don't have purview over color. I've actually heard a lot of great feedback about the color of the door and how it matches the color scheme and the umbrellas. So anyway, that's out of our purview. But okay, so we'll move on to public comment, and we did receive a few different chats, but let's first see if anybody is on who would like to be heard, and then we can potentially move over to the chats, but I'm not really in favor
Yes,
of that.
so just to be clear, anyone that's called in, if you want to discuss this application, you'll raise your hand, you'll be unmuted so you can address the commission. The chat and Q&A feature is not recorded as part of the public comments. If you want to be heard, you need to raise your hand and address the commission. With that, there is a Kat Kluger that has called in. Kat, you can unmute your microphone and address the commission, please.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes,
We
we can
can.
hear you.
I am so sorry. Let me try and turn on my camera. I do not know why it's not working. I don't believe you guys can see me, can you?
No, that's fine
No.
because you're called
Okay.
in as an attendee, and that's fine.
Gotcha.
It's not
No,
going to show.
it makes sense. No problem. I don't want to hold up the hearing. Thank you all for your time. I appreciate it. Just by means of a quick introduction and context, my name is Kat. I am Scott's wife. We are the co-owners of Hartford Baking Company. I'm in charge of marketing and communications, in addition to public relations, which means it's my main purpose is to understand contextually what people are saying as much as possible, either through online or through the store. And I thought it might be helpful just to provide a little bit of insight for the commission. The first thing I would like to say is we are so delighted to be part of the Farmington community. It is an amazing location. It is an amazing neighborhood. The attention to detail in the historic district is absolutely impeccable, from the trees to the hillstead. And I fully understand and support the work that you all put in terms of maintaining aesthetics, in addition to preserving historical accuracy for what is, without a doubt, a very unique gem in the Farmington Valley. So thank you for having us in your town, and thank you for all of the volunteer work that you do. Having said that, I think that what we are going through right now, and I'm not going to insert myself too much into this because, again, my main purpose is more marketing versus operations. It's a little bit of a tussle between aesthetics and functionality. I've heard a couple comments tonight about how the old door could be preserved. The old door, quite literally, and without any hint of exaggeration, disintegrated, because it was not a high foot traffic door. It was not designed for a location that was going to see thousands of customers per day, which is the typical volume that you get in a busy cafe bakery. So this is the conundrum, if you will, that we find ourselves in. Much like your banks, which also have metal doors in the Historical Society, we're not searching to get a metal door for any reason other than to be able to provide a safe experience for our customers that we are also able to provide within tangible qualifications from the town. So I think that it would be incredibly helpful if we could learn a little more from the Historical Commission in terms of what they think would be a good solution that would match their aesthetics, that can also stand up to the foot traffic, keeping in mind that buying a door and waiting for approval is probably not in the best economic interest of a small business coming out of a pandemic, which I completely understand is not your problem. However, any more contextual insight in terms of a solution that will work would be helpful. And if the commission would like, I am also more than happy to go through the dozens of anecdotal comments that I have received via email, in the store, and on social media in regards to how much easier it is to have a door that's just a little sturdier in order to put up with the foot traffic, which is quite frankly the only reason the door is there. I apologize for any ruffled feathers that this might have caused. That was certainly not our intention, but if that helps to provide a little bit of context, perhaps we can use that as a starting point in order to get a solution that will, provide a very good long-term solution to this problem.
Thank you very much. Is anybody else from the public on and would like to be heard?
There is Tom Lohman. Tom, if you want to unmute your microphone and address the commission, please.
Thank you so much, Ms. Rutherford. I'm a neighbor at 118 Main Street, and thank you to the commission for hearing this application. Just as a heritage professional myself, I see this property, which has been seriously improved by Hartford Baking Company, and which I also understand lost its character as an older building a long time ago. That bay window, for example, simply isn't part of the original fabric of that structure. All that said, I hope that that the applicant has a chance to work with the commission to come up with a reasonable solution that satisfies all parties. The current situation is much improved, though, in my opinion. The aesthetic experience of the property has been much improved since it changed hands from Ann Howard to the interim situation to now Hartford Baking. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is anybody else public on it and would like to be heard?
There's one other hand raised, Kate Lieber. If you'd like to unmute your microphone and address the commission, please.
Hi, thank you so much. I'd just like to take a couple minutes. Can you hear me clearly?
We can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. I am the active general manager at the Hartford Baking Company in Farmington. I've loved Farmington forever. I worked on Route 4 at Wooden Tap at the 2 different locations, and I found myself falling in love with this building, which is why I really wanted to be a part of this company. And something I can only say.
folks.
I believe you have muted yourself.
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm not sure where I left off, but as a general manager, I worked on Route 4 for years, and as a general manager of this location, one thing that really has grabbed at me is the seniors that come in.
We're having some trouble
There's a
here.
lot of, and they'll be by themselves, they'll be with someone else. I'm sorry, I'm in the car. And let me just try and get to the point really quickly. I have an elderly population that comes in a lot. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Yep.
Okay, perfect. I'm gonna make it really quick. There's a lot of wonderful old folks that come in to see me every day by themselves, and the door has made a huge difference for them, physically being able to get in and out of the building. And for that, that's meant a lot to me, just seeing that our guests can be safe. So if we can find a resolution with the door that's still safer for them, when they tell me they haven't felt safe before using the truffle store, but now they do feel safe. If we can find any resolution where my guests feel safe, but we can also make everything look the way it should, that's what I would love as the general manager who spends 50 hours a week in the building. I love this building. This building is why I'm here, and I want it to look perfect, but I just want everyone to be safe.
Thank you very much. Is anybody else from the public on and would like to be heard?
So if there's anyone else that would like to speak, please raise your hand to address the commission. If there's any other comments, please raise your hand to address the commission. Mr. Chair, there are no hands raised at this time.
Okay, we did receive a chat, but again, I don't want to include chats if, you know, everyone has had the opportunity to speak. So before we move on here, nobody is doubting the benefit to having Hartford Baking Company here in town. Nobody is trying to tarnish any reputations. We're, you know I am, and I'm sure everybody in the commission is thankful to have the business here in town, and thank the Klugers for choosing this location and for having a popular business in town. I cannot imagine how hard it must be to be a small business owner in this particular climate, with supply chain issues up and down, with material costs, ingredient costs rising, what I assume would be almost daily, if not weekly, with potential employment issues. But nobody here is arguing that. And I appreciate all the feedback that we've received and have heard. But at the end of the day, this comes down to what is appropriate for this particular area and for this building, which happens to be in the Farmington Historic District. My understanding is also that the owners of Hartford Baking Company were in communication at some point with the landlord prior to making renovations. It is my understanding that the landlord also made it clear that there were certain guidelines that had to be followed in the historic district, again, which this building resides in and is under our purview. So I struggle, I go back and forth because I certainly appreciate what you all are doing, but there are also rules that have to be followed. And I think that, and I've been serving on the commission for 1.5 years at this point. I feel that we've actually been very flexible on a lot of applications and have been willing to work with homeowners and business owners on a lot of things, especially when there are no other real alternatives to the materials that were potentially used initially or would have been used when the building had been constructed. So I think what we're looking for, and I don't want to speak for everybody and everyone will have a chance to speak again, but I think we're looking for a realistic solution that is not a Band-Aid, that is going to help customers feel safe, that's going to be aesthetically appropriate for the district and for the time period. That's going to satisfy what the commission believes is appropriate. And I'm a little surprised to hear that some customers didn't feel safe with a wooden door. I'm not, I don't know that I understand that, but it's neither here nor there. So I am happy to give Ms. Kluger an opportunity to respond. I see she has her hand up. But thank you both for what you're doing for the community here. But we can't make exceptions. So I'll leave it at that.
Can I just say, Evan, can I make a comment?
Absolutely.
I think our job as commissioners is to help and work with you all to guide you to a end result that adheres to what we are required to adhere to as commissioners of the historic district in Farmington. So I would just state that's our duties to help guide you to something that we can all agree upon.
Ms. Kluger, if you would like
Evan, can you indulge me as well?
Absolutely.
I absolutely agree with Ms. Gemsky. The other thing is, I think just prior to the onset of the discussion, that some good conversation, to Liz's point, really took place. A little bit of brainstorming as to how we could achieve a win-win solution. And maybe we want to focus on the discussion that we initiated, or the conversation that we initiated, and as a way to move things along a little bit.
Thank you. Let's see. Ms. Kluger still has her hand raised. If you'd like to respond to any of that, you can feel free to do so at this time.
Hi, yes, thank you so much. First of all, again, I think it's been said, but it's worth stating again that we really love Farmington, and our core values are simple craft products that is well executed. That's always been what we create. I feel like it is a really good fit for the location, for the district. And I feel like this is just a clash of modern needs versus, I don't want to say aesthetics, because I know aesthetics are important. We know what happens when you stop paying attention to aesthetics. People paint their houses neon colors. And I'm not saying that in a flippant way. I'm just saying it to say we do value your adherence to your code and also your adherence to historical accuracy. It's a very unique situation. I think that it also is important to point out, which is why I raised my hand again, it's a very windy location. I've noticed that when I walk in, that door tends to blow open a lot. It blows open very suddenly. A wooden door is not going to be as durable as metal. And that might be where some of the safety consideration came in. It might be helpful if I could gather, again, I would be happy to do so, more direct feedback from customers. I'm just thinking anecdotally, going in there every single day to pick up whatever for our kids, because we also live in town and it's a great location. It's very convenient for us too. I noticed the door blowing open. I noticed people closing it. Contextually, that might be part of it. But I would say that, in the interests of saving all of your very valuable time, we thank you for the input that you gave us. And at this point, we would just really like to be able to work with you as cooperatively as possible to find a solution that is going to find that balance between the historical accuracy that is so important to the charm of the historical district and also preserving its integrity, and what we need to be able to use in order to provide our customers with the best experience that we can give to them within those guidelines.
Okay, well, thank you. And I think we are all in agreement that we want to work together toward a resolution, toward a solution that is appropriate for the district. And I do think that there are a few commission members that are experts in this area, that are in this particular, or that are in the building materials industry and have provided some, I think, very good feedback on what is doable. We're flexible when it comes to the actual design that's brought forward. We'll provide recommendations, but I still don't feel that that a balance has been brought forward. I don't know how the rest of the commission feels about it. So I think if you could take some of the feedback from tonight's meeting and the previous one and provide a proposal, an application for some design of a wooden door with this, you know, either true or simulated divided light that Mr. Calciano had mentioned, with a similar style of the initial door, I think that there would be that balance between safety, security, and aesthetics that are appropriate in the district. And the goal is everyone wants to move past this. I'm sure the town wants to move past it. You both want to move past it. Of course, the commission does. And we want to get out of the way and allow you to continue to operate your business. But we just have to have an application that is reasonable and appropriate for the district. And I think most of the commission members here would be happy to provide additional feedback or even initial reviews. Shannon is an expert in this area as well, providing potential ideas to Shannon. She knows what the commission will likely approve or want to change. So I don't want to waste any more of your time either. I would love to see an application that we can approve unanimously, so we can move on past this. Mr. Kluger, I see you have your hand raised.
Yeah, just a quick question. When you say clarification, divided light, does that just mean windows in the door? Is that what that means?
Yes, however, and Mr. Calciano, what are the grills? We don't generally approve the plastic grills that sit on the outside of the, is it the outside or the ones that are on the inside of the window? Anybody would like to?
So we're
Yeah, the applied plastic grills, like what's on that door, we typically do not approve. We will approve authentic divided light or simulated divided light. Simulated divided light has the mutton bars that look like the authentic, except they're applied with a adhesive.
Okay.
So those are less expensive because it's one big sheet of glass with an applied button bar.
Oh, I see. Okay. And as far as hardware goes, that's the original, that's the Truffles door. Clearly you can see it's the same hardware as what we have now. So I assume that's okay.
Personally, I have no problem with the hardware because it's a commercial grade hardware that's appropriate for that kind of a application. And just for the record, the steel door that you do have there, that's a residential steel door. It's not a commercial steel door. So it is not likely to last much longer than a properly maintained wood door. Actually, a wood door properly maintained would probably last longer.
I think the biggest issue was with the previous door, the safety, the safety issue that keeps coming up. The last door, because it was a Dutch door and because the top hinge was really disintegrating, there was, when you open the door, the top half of the door would shift. I think that's, now obviously we're going to put in a new door. It's not going to have that problem. But I think that's all the feedback that we're getting from customers, why they feel much better about this one, if that makes sense.
Thank you. Okay. If we look at the agenda and the agenda item here, the application is to replace the door and add the screen door. I would be okay with splitting these up and having two separate motions just to break these apart so that Shannon, go ahead.
I do have a suggestion.
Okay.
And only so that we don't necessarily have to keep reapplying and keep renoticing everything. If Mr. Kluger is interested and the commission is willing, the matter could be held open. The commission could vote to continue the application. And then Mr. Kluger could come back in July with solutions that are in keeping with the comments that have been received by the commission. And then have a conversation in July. I would think in July, we definitely want to vote because there's no meetings in August. And if we need to, then we'll start over in September. But that is one possible recommendation for moving forward is to just hold this open. There are other items, I believe, already for July. So we will be meeting.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea if Mr. Kluger is open to it. I think what and because also that would then help him not, would help him not miss any potential deadlines, things like that, or be rushing to pull together design. The only thing that I want to be careful about is I just don't want this to continue on for too much longer because it has been going on since I think our February or March meeting. So yeah, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. I was going to say point of clarification for the next meeting. If we were to continue it, my assumption is, and I may be making a wrong assumption, is if the door is replaced, there's no need for a screen door. So would the screen door part of the certificate be omitted, right?
Well,
Yeah,
we
that's
could just
from us.
we could just create a motion at that time to we either I don't know, we
It
maybe
could be
separate
either
them
way.
out or we
Okay,
just
just
don't
making
even-
sure.
Yeah, it could be either way. So
Yeah, we
it's
wouldn't
whatever-
want to do the screen door if we replace the main door.
Right. That was my assumption, but I just wanted to be clear about that.
Yeah, this way it's kind of all encompassing. If they choose to not move forward with the screen door, it doesn't invalidate the portion that discusses replacing the door.
Mr. Kluger, would you be open to a continuance versus an actual vote on the application?
That's just, you mean just not voting today? We'll do it in
Correct.
July. Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you both again. We really do want to work with you guys, and we do appreciate you having the business in downtown. And so anyway, thank you for that. Okay, well, I will move to continue this application to our next regular meeting in July. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, any further discussion on the motion?
Evan, can I just say it so we're clear? Because Scott, I appreciate what you said earlier, by the way, that, and I have no problem. I didn't mean it to be negative. I said it was about money. Small business owner, I know you guys need to do what you need to do. So I didn't mean that in a negative way. So I apologize if it came across that way. But knowing though that it still is important, I would just be clear here. My suggestion would be you go and get a design for the door and whatever else you may need to do to the trim and come back with that. Don't order the door yet. You for better or worse, already have the door there. So it's not like that part needs to be rushed, but I would do that, get hopefully an approval at this July meeting, and then you could order your door and get it installed when it comes in. So that would be my suggestion. I would also, again, just listening to what you and your wife said, you probably don't want the screen door. If people with mobility or older people are happier with the door now, I don't think they want to have to be dealing with the screen. I wasn't really kidding when I said before that it was kind of always a pain when they had the screen door on it, I thought. But at any rate, those are just my thoughts. You can do whatever you want. I'd leave it at that. But I do support the motion.
Thank you. Any further discussion on the motion? Okay. Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye and raise your hand.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, any abstentions? Hearing none. Okay, this hearing is continued until our next regular meeting in July. And we look forward to seeing an application design at that time. Thank you very much. Okay, that concludes our public hearing for the evening. Shannon, you don't have a staff report, do you?
No, sir,
Okay.
there's nothing to share this evening.
Okay, so that just leaves, we have the meeting minutes from our last regular meeting on Tuesday, May 17th, 2022 to consider. Would anybody like to comment or make any changes?
I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as submitted.
Thank you. Motion, is there a second?
Second.
Okay, Mr. Cassiano, second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All opposed, please say aye. Hearing none, any abstentions? Hearing none, okay, the minutes pass. Thank you very much. Everybody, thank you for your time this evening. Thanks for all the feedback, and look forward to seeing you in July. Have a good night.
Thank you, Evan. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank you.
everyone.